All right, so this week's training is all about your homepage curation. So far, we've talked about every other piece of content you can create in Core Publisher. Way back in week one, we talked about your pages, we talked about posts, we've talked about programs, we've talked about people pages, we've outlined how to create your header and your footers. And now we're going to finish up by talking about how to put all of those things together on your homepage. So, on the agenda for today's training, we're going to cover managing your homepage. Then we're going to talk about the block factory in general. And then we're going to talk about all the different types of content blocks that you can create, curated blocks, promotional, program promo, RSS, and category. And then we're going to finish up by talking about the site-wide alert. So first off, let's just talk about your homepage in general. So in this module, we're just going to introduce the Core Publisher responsive homepage and the homepage layout manager. So when you're looking at your homepage, remember that all of the components are responsive, meaning that they will adapt to different device screens. So the way that your homepage looks on desktop is not necessarily how it's going to look on a tablet or a mobile device. The parts of your homepage are going to shift around to give a more consistent but also easy to load experience. And the things that we're talking about are your header, your flexi menu, your different footer regions, and then also the three regions of your homepage and the different content blocks in them. And the way that you're going to be building out your homepage in Core Publisher is with the layout manager. So I just wanted to take a second to show you what the homepage layout manager looks like. So when you're logged into your site, you're going to go to layout up in your top gray and black admin bar. And there's also a layout link under Configure Core Publisher. And it's going to take you to your layout manager. You'll notice that you have the option at the top for multiple tabs. If you click on the plus sign, you can create multiple layouts, and then you can choose which one you want to have live. So for example, if you want to have a version of your layout that you use only for pledge drives, for example, or you have a version that you use to promote concerts, something like that. You can have multiple layouts, whichever one has the live green rectangle, that's the one that's actually showing up on your homepage. You then have the options to publish your layout, which makes it live. You can preview it in a pop-up window, or you can save it for later. So for example, if you do have a layout that you've created specifically for your pledge drive, but it's not your pledge drive yet, you can save it for later, and then when you're ready to publish it or make it live, you can just select it and then hit publish. As we scroll down, you see you have your three content regions, A, B, and C. And then you also have the blocks bullpen. So the bullpen is not a region of your homepage. It is the place that holds all of your homepage blocks. So think of it as the big bucket that holds all of the Legos. And then each Lego is a homepage block that you can plug and play into different areas of your homepage. All you have to do is click on a specific block and then drag it over to either region A, B, or C. And you'll notice that each block can go into each region. And if you don't want to use one, just drag it back into the bullpen. These regions A, B, and C correspond to their placement on your homepage. So you've got A, and then B is like a smaller, more narrow region, and then C is the longer region that takes up the entire width of the page. And we'll talk more about what those look like and what that means in a second. One more thing I wanted to point out with your, two more things actually to point out with your blocks bullpen. The first is that right now your bullpen might be empty. You may only have 4 blocks in there right now. You'll have your medium ads and then also your homepage river. The homepage river is a default block that's created for every site, and it just contains all of the content that you have chosen to push to your homepage news river. So any posts that you click display on homepage, they're going to show up in the homepage river block. And then your 3 medium ads, this is if you are choosing to use double click for publishers, you're just going to drag these into region B for where you want them to show up specifically for the homepage. And then the last thing I wanted to point out is just any blocks that you create in the block factory, which we're going to talk about later today, they're going to automatically be added to this blocks bullpen for you to move to different regions of your homepage. All right, so let's see if we have any questions as we move back into our slides. All right, looks like no questions yet. All right, so when you're looking at your different homepage regions, they are responsive. So depending on what size device you're looking at your site on, those blocks, those regions are going to show up in different arrangements. So if you're on a desktop, you see you have A, B, and C. And if you're looking at your site on a tablet and you've got it in landscape view, it's going to be the same thing, A, B, and C. But you'll notice that if you look at your website, your homepage specifically on either a tablet, in portrait mode or a phone, like a smaller screen, that those regions become stacked. So A at the top, B in the middle, and C at the bottom. So keep that in mind when you're adding blocks to different regions, that this is how that, the majority of folks who come to your homepage, they might be on mobile devices. So, keep that in mind when you're putting your blocks in on your homepage as to what order they're going to see them on those different devices. If you want to create a homepage look that was simply just one long river, you're just going to put everything in the region C. But if you want to have a more traditional two-column look or two columns with the third region at the bottom, then you're just going to use regions A and B or A, B, and C. And just to reiterate, your homepage blocks are optimized for each region as well. So in the same way that your homepage is going to the homepage regions are going to shift a little bit depending on what sort of device you're on. The blocks in the regions as well will have a different look depending on the region that they're in, and we're going to talk about that as we go throughout our slides. So in this module, just to recap, we talked about what the homepage, about the responsive nature of the core publisher homepage, and then we also reviewed the homepage layout manager. A few notes for this module. The first is that always remember that your homepage is responsive, so different blocks are going to resize for different regions as well as different devices. It's a drag and drop mechanism that you're going to be using to drag things from your blocks bullpen to your homepage layout manager regions. And remember that all of those blocks that you create in the block factory are stored in the blocks bullpen for future use. And then the homepage river block and those medium ad blocks, those are added to your bullpen by default. So you can choose not to use them if you're not using underwriting, just leave them in the bullpen, but they are created by default. All right, let's see if we have any questions. All right, no questions just yet. So let's move on to talk about the block factory. So this is where you're going to be building all of those homepage blocks. So we're going to review the different block types as well as the block factory. So the block factory is a very cute name for the tool that you're going to be using to build the different blocks that will show up on your homepage, and you can have up to 50 blocks. The way that it works is you're just going to choose a type of block, pick a treatment for that block, add your content, your images, your links, and then you have the option to save and view. But also in the block factory, you'll also have the option to edit, clone, or delete any of the blocks that you create. And there are different types of blocks that you can create. There's actually 5 of them currently. You've got your curated blocks, your promotional blocks, your RSS blocks, program promo, and category. We're going to talk about each of these today. Each block has its own purpose, its own look, its own treatments, and so we're going to go over all of them. You're not required to use all of these blocks on the homepage, but we just wanted to introduce them all to you to give you an idea of the options that you'll have. So before we go on to our recap, I just want to take a look at some examples of home pages in Core Publisher to give you some ideas about the different blocks and how they work and whatnot. So what we're looking at now, we're on nhpr.org, and I always recommend taking a look at examples of different home pages to give you some ideas for different layouts and also different ways to use blocks. Right now on NHPR, we've got some curated blocks, promotional blocks, and then we have our homepage news river. So you see you can incorporate different sorts of blocks. Some of them, like the promotional blocks, are highly customizable. You can also throw a few widgets in here. We'll talk about that later today as well. So that's just one site. So I recommend taking a look at other sites. This is also kbia.org. Very common for stations to start off with the curated block. And the thing I wanted to point out with these guys is so when you're on NHPR, you see they're just using regions A and B because they just have two columns. But when you look at kbia.org, you see they start off with two columns, and then as you scroll further down, you see they've got this longer, larger news river, so they're actually using regions A, B, and C. And the last thing I wanted to point out is just to remember when you are, give me 1 second to set this up for you guys. When you're looking at your site, if you want to see what it's going to look like on different size screens, you're just going to take your home page and then just start to make it smaller, and you'll see that the blocks on your home page also start to shift in their order as well. So as you're building out your home pages, I always recommend starting to resize the screen just so that you can see what your home page is going to look like on different devices. All right. So that is our module 2. Really quickly, we just talked about the block factory and reviewed the different types of homepage blocks that we're going to be covering today. 2 workflow notes from this section. The first is that up to 50 blocks can be created. So you can have up to 50 at one time, and each block type can be added to all regions. So there's not, only curated blocks go in region A or only promotional blocks go in region B. You can put any of these blocks into any of the regions of your homepage. So now we're going to actually start to build some of these blocks. So again, you want to make sure that you are logged into your site because we're going to start to dig in and do some hands-on with creating some blocks, starting with the curated block. So the curated block is created specifically to present your posts, either your local post that you've created or your post from the NPR Story API. They are for major news event consideration or for the top stories of the day. This is some place that's going to draw your web visitors' eyes really quickly. And so you want to make sure that you're putting engaging content in your curated block. And as we said, because these blocks are responsive in different regions, they're going to have a different look. So in region A, you see that you've got the 3-story and the 1-story curated blocks. If you're using 3 stories, you're going to have 1 large story here, and then the 2 smaller stories on the side, and that 1 main story, you're going to get the headline, the image, and a teaser. For the other 2 stories, you're just going to get the headline and the image. Then for a 1-story block, you're going to get a very large image with the headline, with the teaser text, and then also the read more button. And you'll notice that the headline actually kind of sort of overlaps the main image. So with the curated blocks, you have 2 treatments. You have 1 story and also 3 story. Those are your 2 options for the curated block. In region B, because it is a more narrow region, the stories become stacked to improve the readability. So you can put curated news into region B. Don't feel like you can't. It is very common for us to see this, and you'll see that again. Same sort of look, it's just that everything is stacked. And then in region C, because it's a much bigger region, the headline is going to overlay the image for both the 3-story and the 1-story look. So that is, and then in mobile, you'll notice this as we go through all of the different blocks, that in mobile, you're just going to have a look very similar to region B. So if it's 3 stories, you've got the stacked look. If it's 1 story, it's the image, the teaser, and then the headline. All right, so now we've got our first exercise, we're going to create a curated block. So at this point, most everyone has, all of you guys I've noticed do have posts on your site. So we're just going to take 3 posts from your current website and we're going to create a 3-story curated block based on that content. So I'm going to go into the test site. I'm going to ask you to log into your site as well. We're going to create our first block. All right, so I am going to go to content in my top gray and black admin bar, and we're going to navigate to the block factory first. In the block factory, that's where we're going to actually be creating our first block. So in this block factory block that you've got here to the far left, we're going to click on add block. And we see at the very top, our first option is curated block. So I'm going to click on that. And what we're doing here for this exercise is we're creating a 3-story curated block. It's Tuesday. It's time to refresh our news from what we had last week or what we had on Monday. So let's create a brand new 3-story block. All right, so the first thing that you're going to see is block title. So if you want to if you want this to be something that's going to be front facing, your web visitors are going to see it. Let's just say this is WSRT's Tuesday news or Tuesday top stories. You can also choose to make this internal only. So if I wanted to call this Rakisha's 3-story block, I could do so, and then I'm going to just check the hide block title checkbox so that the title won't show up on the home page. But for our exercise, let's just go back to something front facing, WSRT's Tuesday top stories. I also have the option to make the block title a link. So if I wanted to link to my /news page, or if I wanted to link to a program page, for example, I could do so by putting in the full URL here. So now I'm going to add my 3 stories. The first story, or story 1, is the one that's going to be the main story. My second 2 are going to be my smaller stories where you're only going to get the picture and the headline. So as I start to type in to my story field, it's going to automatically suggest stories and try to auto-complete. So I'm actually looking for my excitement, frustration, and glory, the Olympics post, and you're going to select a post from your site as well. This is a post from npr.org, so you can put both local stories that you've created and also posts from the NPR Story API into a curated block. So we have a question. Do all the stories have to be posts, or can you have essentially an RSS feed with the most recent of any given topic program as a story? Good question. And actually hold on to that one because there is a way to do an RSS feed on your homepage. But for the curated block, it is posts only. So for the curated block, you're only going to be able to add posts here. But when I click on my story, it's going to automatically give me the headline. It's going to give me, the image, the headline, and the teaser so I can see what's going to show up. You want to make sure that you are selecting from the autocomplete and not just like copying and pasting the URL or something like that. Like you have to type in the name of the post. So let's do that one more time. I'm going to grab this post here. And again, it's going to give me the image and the headline, and then let's just see what other stories we have. So we've got my 3 stories. So now I have 2 options here at the bottom. I can either save or I can save and view. If I click on save and view, it's going to save my block to the block factory, and it's also going to let me see what my block is going to look like. So I see I've got my first story, my second, and my third. You'll always notice that if there's audio on your post, either from the API or local, you're going to see this little audio icon here. So now I can either go back to the admin, or if I want to make a change, maybe I don't like this post anymore, I want to change it to something else, I can always click Edit Me to go back to edit my block. But this looks good to me, so I'm going to click Go Back to Admin. And now I see that my new block has been added to my block factory. All right, so that is creating a three-story curated block. You'll notice when you create a one-story curated block that it's the same exact admin, so that there's only one option for a post instead of three, but everything else is exactly the same. So that is creating a three-story curated block. So in this module, we reviewed how the curated block looks different, looks in different homepage regions, and we also created a block from scratch. A few workflow notes for this section. The first is remember that you can add either one or three stories. There is no two-story treatment. It's either one or three. Only posts can be added to a curated block. Both posts from the NPR Story API and local posts. So if you pull in a post from a different station, if it's a post from All Things Considered, if it's something created by your local classical music host, they can all be added to a curated block. Also, remember, posts without images can be added to a curated block as well. It's okay to add a post without an image to a curated block. It'll just show the headline. And also, you can add multiple curated blocks to a homepage region. So if you've maybe got one main story and then three other smaller stories, you can stack those blocks or just have more than one in a region. So we have a question. Is there a reason the teasers aren't showing up? I'm not sure what you mean. If you want to send me a screenshot of what you are experiencing, I can take a look outside of this call. All right. So that was a curated block. Again, curated blocks are focused on your news stories. But what if you want to promote something else, like a topic page or your upcoming pledge drive or a concert that you're selling tickets for? For that, you would use a promotional block. So that's what we're going to take a look at in this module. So there are two treatments for the promotional block, large image and small. We're going to start with the large image. The large image promotional block in region A is big. It spans the full width of the region on your desktop, and it is useful for grabbing attention. We see stations very commonly use a large image promo block in region A when they're looking for volunteers or especially when it's pledge drive time. In region B, a large image promo block can be really effective, especially if you're not yet set up with double-click for publishers. So if you're still getting set up with your underwriting, but you do want to have some sort of promotion on your homepage in the meantime, you'll notice that a large image promo block in region B looks very similar to an underwriting spot. Do note that they will only show up on your homepage, but if you just want to have some sort of promotion, but you're still working on DFP, a large image promo in region B is a good place to start. Um, they can be, and what you can do is you can stack several promotional blocks in region B, and it'll look very similar to the conventional right rail that a lot of stations tend to have. You can also have a large image promo block in region C. It is very large, and so what some stations will tend to do is have a large image promo with no image. So that's what we're looking at here. They've just got a colored rectangle with some text and a button. Works very well in region C. So that's the large image block. We also have a second treatment, which is the small image promo. So if you want to create a promotion for something, for example, for one of your programs, but you only have a little small image, like a little thumbnail, or maybe for an upcoming interview that you're doing, you only have a thumbnail image. A small image promo is great for that. In region A, everything becomes left aligned. So you see that you've got your image, your text, your title, and your button. Everything's left aligned in region A. But in region B, everything is centered. And what we see stations commonly do with a small image promo in region B is just have text, no images. So now playing, or donate your car, or follow us on Twitter, something like that. We see folks do with just text and no images. But we did just want to point out that a small image promo with just an image does not really work well because you only have a little thumbnail. It just looks kind of weird. So if you just have an image, you want to use a large image promo block for that. And then in region C, it's just a bigger version of what you see in region A, where you've got everything left aligned. And then with region, with the promotional blocks, whether they're small or large image, just like with other blocks, if you're looking at them on mobile, it looks very similar to what you would see on region B. All right. So now it is time to create a promotional block. So this is our second activity, a second exercise for today. There is an image in the resources Dropbox folder that we're going to be using to create a large image promo block to promote your brand new website. So I'm going to go into our test site after I open up my Dropbox resources folder. So let me get back to my test site. So let's create a large image promo block. So we left off in the block factory. It's a great place to start. I'm just going to click on add block here. And so for this exercise, we are creating a promotional block. It's the second option under block type. So we're all going to select promotional block. And you see we have three options here, large, small, and program promo. We're going to talk about program promo in a second. So for this exercise, let's just click on large image promo. So the large and small image promo admin is exactly the same. We're just going to do a large image for this example. And for this one, I'm going to actually keep the block title hidden. So I'm going to call this Welcome August 2016. And I'm going to check the hide block title checkbox because we don't want the title to show up on the home page. So everything else under the title is completely optional. You can choose if you want to have an image, a heading, a button text, all of it's optional. For our example, our exercise, we do have an image. So I'm going to click on the click media option, select media, sorry, and I'm going to select browse. My folder is on the desktop, so I'm going to go to my desktop. And we're all going to select image for large image promo.jpg. We're all going to select that and then hit submit. All right, so now my image is ready. Now I'm going to add some text. Again, everything after this is completely customizable. So I'm going to make my text, welcome to our new site. We worked hard to create a new homepage, a new web experience. So the heading is going to be larger text that's going to show up right under the image, and then the subheading is going to show up right under it. You then have the call to action. So if you have a little button, for example, if you're selling tickets to an event and you want to have a buy tickets or learn more link with a button, you would put in the button text and then the full URL of the page that you want to link to. So an Eventbrite page, for example, or your pledge form if this promotional option is for, this promotional block is for your pledge drive. We're going to leave it blank in this example. And then you also have the option to customize the background color and the text color. So if you want to change it to match your station branding a little bit closer, you can do that. Always make sure that you're selecting colors that are easily readable on different screens. So let's hit save and view. And now I see I've got my image, I have my heading, and I've got my brand new subheading for my new block. So when we hit back to admin, I'll see my Welcome August 2016 block has been added to my block factory. All right, let's go back into our slides. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in. So we have a question, where can we get a palette for the colors? Good question. The color selector does require you to have the hex codes. Just a simple Google search for hex color codes will give you a list of all of the color codes that exist that you can select, or just type in the code into the text color and header, and background color fields. So when you're thinking of blocks to add to, or different things you can add to a promotional block, the list is endless. This is just a small selection of what we've seen stations use promotional blocks for. You can use them to promote your aggregation pages, like category and topic pages, posts, station events, pledge, station series, newsletters, community promotion, your calendar, music live events, a link to your NPR-news page, social media, vehicle donation. Again, it is absolutely endless the things that you can do with the promotional block on your homepage. And remember that you can have more than one. So in this module, we reviewed what the promotional block looks like in different regions, and then we created a large image promo block. Few workflow notes from this section. The first is that you can use a promotional block to promote any piece of content. So that's posts, programs, people, and also external links. So pledge forms, Ticketmaster, Eventbrite, anything like that. You can use a large image block in region B as an underwriting spot, but remember that it will show up on your homepage only. And I just wanted to give you guys a quick trick that if you wanted to add certain widgets to your homepage, like the Composer 2 Now Playing widget, or people have managed to get their Twitter widgets in there as well, you can do so by pasting the widget code into the subheading field. But do note that there is a 200 character limit. So if your widget code is over 200 characters, then it's not going to work. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not realize that I was actually still paused in my screen. Thank you so much for the heads up. All right. I haven't shown anything new, which is good. But yeah, just still doing the recap as a reminder, just to reiterate. Feel free to play around with adding widgets to promotional blocks in the subheading field. Remember though that there is a 200 character limit on that field. So if your widget is over 200 characters long, it's not going to work in the subheading field. All right. Let me make sure I'm still sharing my screen as we move forward. To our next module, we're going to create a program promo block. So someone asked earlier if there is a way to create a curated block that promotes ongoing promotes your program content. This is the way to do that with a program promo block. So what this allows you to do is promote both your local and syndicated programs, and the posts that your hosts are creating for those programs. Um, there is one treatment for the program promo block. And in region A and C, it looks very similar. You'll notice that you have your main image, and then you have the title of your program and the description of your program. This is all pulling directly from your program page that you built in Core Publisher. This is not pulling from Composer 2. This is directly pulling from your Core Publisher site. And it's also going to pull in the 3 most recent posts about that program that are on that program page. And as you or your web host add new content, this block will update automatically as well. And then you'll notice at the very bottom that there's a next program link. And so if you have multiple programs that you want to promote, you can add them to a queue, and then your web visitors can click next program to see the next program in the list. This is not manually scroll. I'm sorry, automatically scroll. It is something that your web visitors will have to click on next program to get to the next one. And then in region B and also on mobile, you'll see that everything is stacked. So you still have that image, the title, the description, and the the related post, but they are just stacked. All right, so let's create a program promo block for one of your local programs. Let's not do one of your syndicated programs. Let's allow one of your local programs that you've created so far to shine. In a program promo block on your homepage. So let's all go back to our sites. And we are again back on that block factory page. We're going to click on add block again. And we're going to go back to promotional block because a program promo block is a sort of promotional block. But this time we're going to select the very bottom option, which is program promo. And again, at the very top, and this is consistent for all of your homepage blocks, you're going to have that block title option. We're going to select Program Promo Tuesday. So this is going to be something that we're going to hide. We're going to make this internal to us only. And then we see that we have the option for our program title. You're just going to start to type in the name of your program and select it from the autocomplete dropdown. It's going to then automatically pull in information from your program page. So again, not from Composer 2, it's pulling in from your program page in Core Publisher. So you have to make sure that you have created a program page for the program before you try to add it to a program promo block. So it's going to pull in information, a program description, and I can choose to change this. So if I want to say on this week's the play, um, Johnny Cash will be joining us. I can change the program description here and it will not affect the program description on the program page. So you want to make sure, so you can always change it again on the program description. It's not going to affect the program page at all. And you'll notice that you have a 175 character limit for the program description. And you'll see that it also pulled in the program image. You can change this as well. So if I had a photo of Johnny Cash, I wanted to throw it in there, I can do that. And again, it will not affect the program page. This is only going to show up on my home page. And then I have this checkbox under headlines, show latest headlines associated with this program. So if my host for the play is creating content, she's adding a new post every week for her show, and I want to show those in my program promo block, I'm going to check this checkbox. But since my host does not add posts currently, I'm just going to leave that checkbox unchecked. I see that we've got questions coming in that the program description and image are not coming in. If you guys could send me screenshots of what you're seeing via email, I can take a look at that as we get outside of this call. Sorry about that. I will make sure that that is working before you guys launch. So once I've got my first program, if I want to add a second program, I'm just going to click the add another program option and then add all the information for my next program. Whichever program is the very first one is the one that's going to show up first in the queue. And then just like with all of our other blocks, let's hit save and view. And it's going to show us what our block is going to look like. I've got my image, I've got my title, and I've got my description. And when I go back to the back to admin option, I'll see that my Program Promo Tuesday block is now showing up on my block factory. All right. So I know that we had a couple of technical issues with that section. So I will take a look at those after. Again, just send me screenshots of what you're seeing. But in this module, we reviewed program promo blocks, their looks in different homepage regions, and then we did create a program promo block. So remember that only programs that you have created program pages for can be featured in a program promo block, and multiple programs can be added. But however, if you have multiple programs that you want to give the same amount of visibility on your homepage, so you've got a couple of different local music programs, you want to give them all the same amount of visibility on your homepage, we recommend just creating a separate program promo block for each program, as it is much more likely that your web visitors will just see each block on the homepage instead of clicking that next program option. We see actually that link gets very few clicks. So if you want to give everything the same amount of visibility, just create separate program promo blocks and add them. You can stack them in each region, either region that you choose. All right. So the next block that we're going to be creating is an RSS block. So RSS blocks are very simple. They are a text block that allows you to just list the up to 10 most recent links from an RSS feed. And this can be an internal RSS feed or something from an external site. They all have the same, there's only one treatment, and they look the same on regions A, B, and C, as well as in mobile. You'll see that you have your bold, large title text, and then you have your the links to your post in your RSS feed. There is no image, there is no teaser text. It is simply just the title of the post that's going to show up in the RSS block. And it's a good idea to use an RSS block if you know you've got perhaps a sister station whose RSS feed that you want to share, but you can also use an RSS block for something like one of your aggregation pages. So your category blocks, your people blocks, I'm sorry, your people pages. If you wanted to add an RSS feed of one of your contributors' content, you can do so with an RSS block of your own content on your homepage. So if we look in our resources Dropbox folder, there is a link that we're going to use to create an RSS block in this exercise. So I'm going to open up my folder as well so that I can grab that URL, and it exists in the text for RSS block file. You're just going to grab that npr.org RSS feed. And I'm going to go back into our test site. So again, we are on our Block Factory page. Let's click on Add Block. And this time we're going to select the RSS block type. And we'll see that there is only one treatment. It is called RSS. So let's click on that. And at the very top, again, we have our our block title. So we're going to call this one Wait, Most Recent Posts. And this time we're not going to hide the block title. We want this one to be front facing. And then we're just going to paste in our RSS URL. You're going to use the full URL, and you can choose again to use any of your internal RSS feeds or something external here as well. And now I've got my option for number of headlines to display, and I can choose up to 10, but it defaults to 5. So I'm going to leave mine at 5. And then the last thing is there's a checkbox, open stories in a new tab. So if for this example, we are linking to an npr.org RSS feed, you don't want people to click on the links and then be taken away from your website without having a way to come back. So I'm going to check the open stories in new tab checkbox. But if this was an RSS feed for my local education category page, for example, I would not check this checkbox. So let's hit save and view, and we'll see that it pulls in our most recent 5 posts from the RSS feed for Wait, Don't Tell Me. When I go back to the admin page, I see that Wait, Most Recent Post is now added to my Block Factory. All right. So just moving right along, now we are at our Module 7 recap. So in this module, we reviewed RSS blocks specifically. We talked about how they look in different regions. It is very similar. They are pretty much identical in every region and on mobile. And we also created an RSS block using an external feed. 2 workflow notes from this section. The first is that remember that you can also use feeds for your own aggregation pages as well. We talked about RSS feeds in training number 3, I believe. So if you can go back there and review how to find your RSS feeds for your own aggregation pages, you can use those in a RSS block as well. We don't recommend having too many RSS feeds on your homepage linking to external sources. So if you've got an an NPR classical RSS feed, an NPR jazz, an NPR tiny desk, and an NPR environment and NPR education, you have too many RSS blocks on your homepage, and you're not really highlighting your own content. You're just more becoming a way to push your web visitors to external sources, which isn't really helpful for your web visitors. So we do recommend using RSS feeds to promote your own local content. All right, so the last type of block that we're going to talk about today is the category block. So this is the newest block that we've recently added to the Block Factory. It allows you to create more focused rivers. So you already have your homepage river block that exists in your homepage layout manager, and that block is going to contain all content that you push to the river, regardless of the category or the topic or the program. It's going to be everything. But if you want something more focused, like a river of just your environmental news or a river of just your NPR news. You can create something like that using a category block. So you see that this text is all wrong. Sorry about that, you guys. But you see that you've got in A regions A and C, it displays very similar to the homepage region, the homepage river block. You've got your title, your byline, your image, and also your teaser text. And then in region C in mobile, it's very similar. It's stacked. Very again, very similar to the homepage river. So in this module, let's create a category block. So far we've created several aggregation pages, and that's again your category tag and topic pages. So let's create a category block for one of those. So we see now that throughout this training, our block factory is becoming very full of all of the blocks that we've created. In this exercise, we're first going to click on Add Block. And then the last treatment option is Category Block. And that's what we're going to select here. And we'll see that there's only one treatment, and that is the mini river, because that's what we're creating. It's a mini river of content for your homepage. And then again, we see that we've got our block title. We're just going to make this one internal, and we're going to call this one August Mini River. And this is where we're going to be allowed to filter the content. So we can choose that we only want local stories. And again, local means local to your core publisher website. We can say we want only stories from the NPR Story API, or we can say that we want both local and NPR stories. So for this example, let's say we want both. I can then filter by category. So let's say that I only want my environment news from that exists on my website that is both local and NPR. And I can choose the number of stories to display 1 through 5. So remember that this is not how you're going to create a query of content. You have to have created the query first. So if, for example, you went to your Retrieve and Categorize tool, and you created a query to pull all environmental news from npr.org to your environment category page, you can now use this mini river tool to create a feed of just that content on your homepage. At the very bottom, there's always going to be a more news button. So more news or read more or learn more or something like that, or more environmental news, for example, it'll default to more news. And I'm going to hit save and view. And I do believe that I am only going to have one post here, but this is what that's going to look like. And when I go back to admin, I'm going to see my August mini river is now showing up in my block factory. All right. So that is the final block that we're going to talk about today. In this module, we reviewed the category blocks. A few workflow notes. The first is that remember that you can use the category blocks to create feeds of all local or all NPR API content, or a mix of both. And if you feel like the homepage news river block that's automatically created by default is too broad, and you want something a bit more focused, you don't have to use that block. You can create a more focused homepage river using using categories that you prefer. You can create a more focused block using this tool. All right, looks like we don't have any questions right now. So the final section the final sort of homepage block we're going to talk about today is the site-wide alert. So the site-wide alert is a different sort of block. It's more a region in that it's not created in the block factory, but it does exist on your homepage. It actually exists on every page of your site under the Flexi menu. It's one line of text with no images, and it can link to any sort of content on your site. So you can use this to link even externally. You can choose this to link to a weather page or your pledge form or your volunteer sign up, anything like that. But do remember that it is persistent across your entire site. So if someone comes into your site from a post that someone shared on Facebook, they will see the site wide alert. If they come to your homepage, if they come in because they did a Google search for something and one of your posts or program pages showed up in the search results, they will also see the site wide alert. So keep that in mind when you're adding one. And the placement is also consistent across browser sizes. So whether you're looking at this on a desktop or mobile, it's always going to have the site-wide alert right under the navigation. So let's create a site-wide alert. We're actually going to call our site-wide alert in this example, weather alert, snowstorms on the way. Oops. So let's me go into our test site, and I'm going to ask everyone to go into your site as well. So when you're on your site, you see the site-wide alert is one of the options in your gray and black admin bar. So let's click on that. And it's very simple to add a site-wide alert. We're just going to put our alert text. So we're going to call this one alert, weather emergency, snowstorms on the way. And then for our URL, you're going to put in the full URL of the page that you're linking to. Even if you're linking to a page on your own website, you're going to put in the full URL. In this example, we're just going to link to weather.com. And then you see you have two checkboxes at the bottom. You've got open link in a new window, and this alert is important. So open link in new window, if you're linking to a page on your site, you won't check this checkbox, but if you're linking to a pledge form or a sign up form or weather site that's external, you will check the open link in new window checkbox. And then you have the this alert is important checkbox. So by default, the text is going to be black, but if you want it to be red so that it makes it more eye-catching, you can check the this alert is important checkbox. And we're going to hit save configuration. And now when we go back to our home page, we'll see that we have our brand new site-wide alert. When I'm ready to remove this, so let's say the snowstorms have passed, everything is all well, I don't need my site-wide alert anymore, I'm just going to go back to the site-wide alert option and click on the remove alert. And when I refresh my homepage, I'll see that the alert is gone. So again, under site-wide alert, save configuration makes it live, remove alert removes it from your site. All right. So just to recap, in this module, we reviewed and then created the site-wide alert. Remember that it displays on every page of your core publisher site, and you can always use it to link to internal or external pages. And then lastly, you can use the this alert is important checkbox to change the alert text color to red. So that is training number 5. Some next steps or homework for this week. The first is to continue to work on your navigation, your footers, your topic pages, your static pages, your people, your categories, and start to play around with the homepage layout manager. And then also your curated, your promotional, your RSS, all of those homepage blocks. You want to start to work on those as well. Get your homepage set up. And ready to go for your upcoming launch. So in this training, again, we covered your homepage, the block factory, and then reviewed how to create curated, promotional, program promo, RSS, and category blocks, and finished off with the site-wide alert. So I wanted to see if there are any questions in the last 5 minutes that we have before we end our call today. All right, so it looks like we don't have any questions. No worries. Feel free to bring any questions to your calls this week. I also sent you all an email about DNS. You'll want to make sure to have that back by Friday. And I will talk to you all later this week. Thanks for joining me. Bye.